We're kicking off today with Backlash as the show began with the US title Fatal 4-Way pitting champion Jacob Fatu against Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, and LA Knight. After a brief standoff, Knight targeted Fatu while McIntyre and Priest took their brawl outside of the ring, and Knight and Priest briefly teamed up against the defending champion. That alliance dissolved quickly as McIntyre began dismantling everyone in sight, and each competitor was given moments to dominate, making it hard to pick a clear favorite. The crowd responded with a "This is awesome" chant, just as Fatu began unleashing high-risk offense, showing why he has become a standout performer during his brief WWE run. All four men had a chance to shine in this high-energy match, and the crowd were loving what they were seeing from the four, who have had months to develop some great chemistry. Priest and McIntyre fought into the crowd and ended up going through a couple of tables near some production equipment, taking them out of the contest. As Knight prepared to put Fatu through the announce table, Solo Sikoa interfered, pulling him off and setting up for the debut of Jeff Cobb. As the action spilled outside the ring, LA Knight was preparing to leap off a table onto Fatu when Cobb leaped the barricade and blindsided him. The interference allowed Fatu to nail a moonsault and secure the victory, though by his expression it was clear Fatu wasn't thrilled about the assistance. Now Jeff Cobb is with WWE, but PW Insider is reporting that Cobb endured an absolutely grueling travel schedule over the past 36 hours to get to Backlash. Cobb took somewhere in the range of 4 to 5 flights, beginning his journey in Japan and finally touching down in St. Louis in the early morning before his appearance. Once Cobb made it to the Enterprise Arena, WWE officials reportedly stashed him away to prevent leaks, allowing him to make his debut without anyone getting wind of it. Cobb is listed on the SmackDown roster, and his alliance with Solo Sikoa could mean trouble for the Bloodline's enemies, though questions remain about their alliance. During the press conference after Backlash, Jacob Fatu said that we will have to see how this situation plays out with Jeff Cobb, and admitted to being surprised by Cobb's debut. When asked about what is next for him, Jacob Fatu was very blunt and told fans to stay tuned, as there's no telling what's next for the US champion. Fatu went on to say that his whole life has been a speed bump, which explains his attitude of all gas, no brakes, as he plans to keep bringing the intensity for as long as he's in WWE. We will have to see what's next for Jacob Fatu, as at the end of the day he is still United States champion, no matter how it all went down. Were you expecting Jeff Cobb's debut as we hinted last week? How would you book Jacob Fatu following his victory at Backlash? Let us know your thoughts down below. During Backlash, there were reports that Drew McIntyre had suffered an injury after a rough landing during the opening match for the US title. According to PW Insider, the incident occurred when Damian Priest delivered his South of Heaven chokeslam finisher, but McIntyre's head didn't crash through the table. Instead of the table breaking his fall, McIntyre's head reportedly missed it entirely and struck the floor, and Drew was seen clutching the back of his head after the incident. WWE medical personnel are now evaluating McIntyre, with sources indicating that he's being closely monitored for concussion as a precaution. On the post-show, Triple H gave an update on the conditions of both Priest and McIntyre following this spot. He said, "Luckily everybody is healthy, I think. Priest got a tooth that he's hoping will stay inside of his head for a couple of days here and get solid again. Other than that, Drew McIntyre a little banged up, but totally fine." Like any wrestler, McIntyre knows the risks he puts himself in every time the bell rings, and will continue to follow his situation for any further updates. From wrestling at the Brian Pillman Memorial Show to OVW to WWE, John Cena and Randy Orton have seen their legacies intertwined for more than 2 decades. At Backlash, the two iconic rivals met once more in a bout for the undisputed WWE title, and when the dust was settled, it was the Unseen 17, Cena, who stood tall. The match began with a slow, deliberate pace as the two circled each other, and when Orton accepted Cena's handshake, the Viper was met with a flurry of strikes by his rival. From there, both men fell back into well-worn habits with classic moves including the Orton stomps and chin locks, making it all seem like no time had passed at all. Of course, it has been years since their previous singles encounter, and recognizing their physical evolution, both men went for a slower pace rather than rush to the major moments. With plenty of time, they crafted a methodical main event filled with callbacks to their long history, even though some will find it wasn't their best outing given their extensive legacy. Nevertheless, the match delivered some memorable moments, even if some were predictable and lagged in places, as nostalgia and fan engagement carried it through. Each man survived the other's finishers multiple times, and the match saw 2 referees taken out, and Orton even used Cena's finisher to drive him through 2 separate tables. The fans popped big when Orton began clearing off the announce table, and there was a great spot when Orton countered taking the AA and hitting the RKO mid-move. This was a callback to a tables match they had years ago, and when Orton hit another RKO, there was no official left standing to count the pin thanks to John's attacks. Orton, frustrated and confused, lashed out, delivering RKOs to SmackDown's GM Nick Aldis as well as several producers who flooded the ring, including Shane Helms and Jamie Noble. RTruth would arrive to stop Orton from hitting the punt, giving Cena the chance to hit the low blow and a title shot to get the win and keep his title reign alive. This was a lot of fun, even if it was overbooked towards the end, and if this is indeed the last time these two face off, it was a fitting send-off for one of WWE's longest rivalries. Following the match, the 17-time world champion cut a promo taking multiple shots at fans. Cena also took jabs at Randy Orton, saying that he needed competition, belittling the Viper's capabilities. "I know you can't see me, but can you hear me? Cut the damn music. I don't need music. What I need is competition, and I sure as hell don't need you. Drink it in, St. Louis, because this is what the last real champion looks like." However, after a few minutes, his expression changed. He suddenly had a sad look on his face. He left the ring and stood next to the apron, and he still looked very emotional. The crowd started chanting, "Thank you, Cena." With Orton in the rearview mirror, the question now is who's next for the self-proclaimed last real champion, and the answer may be another name from Cena's past. After the match, CM Punk took to Instagram stories and responding to Michael Cole saying that John Cena is still the champion, Punk added the caption, "For now." Punk has yet to hold gold since his November 2023 return to WWE, and a match with Cena would certainly be huge before the Unseen 17 hangs up his boots for good. Would you like to see CM Punk and John Cena face off one last time? Should Punk dethrone John, or should Cena retain? Let us know down in the comments. John Cena delivered the attitude adjustment multiple times in his match with Randy Orton, but he had one left in him after the show. At the Backlash presser, WWE's chief content officer Triple H addressed the media, discussing the fallout from the night's biggest matches, including the controversial ending of Cena vs. Orton. As he spoke, John Cena unexpectedly walked out and interrupted the proceedings. The crowd in attendance and viewers watching online were stunned as the last real champion whispered something in Hunter's ear. Without hesitation, the game stepped aside. Cena then spoke to the media in attendance and said that unlike WrestleMania, he was ready to answer all questions. Before he had a chance, RTruth interrupted to praise his childhood hero and said he still believes in John even if the fans keep telling Cena that you can't wrestle. This angered Cena, who hit Truth with the AA through the table and left his supporter laid out without ever answering any questions. This was likely the setup for a match, perhaps at Saturday night's main event, and while we like Truth, there's an argument that he should be nowhere near a PLE main event in 2025. Whatever the case, Cena's actions on the post-show prove that he is still ready to be as vicious as they get, all as his time in the ring continues to tick away. We know that John Cena will wrestle for the final time in 2025, and this week some huge details were revealed over when and where the match will take place. According to WCVB, WWE has chosen Boston to be the home of Cena's final match, with the TD Garden expected to be the home of his epic farewell this December. This comes after reports that Cena's final match will be at a PLE that month in the TD Garden for December 27th, though that has yet to be confirmed by WWE. Whatever WWE has planned, fans can expect an epic send-off for Cena as one of the most decorated careers in all of wrestling continues to tick away. The Women's Intercontinental title bout was up next as Becky Lynch was out first to battle her former friend Lyra Valkyria in what has become a deeply personal feud. During Big Time Bex's entrance, the graphics on the screen clearly showed her record against Lyra Valkyria, which at the time stood at 0-1. This was a clear shot at the man. Coming to the match, neither woman held back, resulting in Lynch wearing some bloody wounds on her elbows, but never slowed down as this match felt very different than their 2023 NXT Women's title match. This time around, Lynch is a heel and had fun by taunting Valkyria's fiancé and fellow wrestler LJ Cleary, who was sat in the crowd for the match. Big Time Bex spent a long time in control before Valkyria mounted a comeback, and though there were dueling chants, the ones in favor of the champion were just that bit louder. The way this match was structured and paced allowed for both plenty of storytelling and wrestling skills, and it's hard to think how this balance could have been improved upon. Lyra used her hanging submission, which should have a name as it's a good move which should be used to finish off matches to make it seem more dangerous. Lynch grew increasingly frustrated as her disarm her finisher failed to get the job done and grabbed a chair, and when the referee removed the chair, Lynch exposed the turnbuckle. The referee tried to fix the turnbuckle, distracting the official when Valkyria had the match won, but Lyra ultimately got the win after countering a pin by the champ. The pair traded pin attempts in the final sequence, and it was during this that Lynch's boot appeared to connect with Valkyria's nose. Lyra immediately grabbed her face in pain as blood appeared to flow, and on commentary, Michael Cole noted that it appeared the champion may have suffered a broken nose. An irate Lynch immediately attacked her after the match and put her in the disarm her and refused to let go, leaving officials to get in the ring to help the Women's Intercontinental Champion. This feud clearly isn't over, and while this ending may have been a little overbooked, but as a whole, this was a tremendous match and another star-making win for Lyra Valkyria. The Valkyrie continues to be Lynch's kryptonite as she is now 2-0 against the man in title matches, a record Lynch will hope to break soon enough. More from Backlash as the show transitioned from the Women's Intercontinental Championship to the men's as Penta made his way to the ring to challenge Dominik Mysterio. The rest of the Judgment Day accompanied Mysterio to the stage, but stopped short of following him all the way to the ring, suggesting Dirty Dom would go it alone. Mysterio wore gear that was an homage to Psychosis and, in another tribute, hit the Oblivion finisher, a nod to Liv Morgan, who's away filming a film, though it only got him a near fall. Mysterio briefly gained the upper hand, but Penta's veteran instincts allowed him to turn the tide, and it wouldn't be long until Dominik resorted to underhanded tactics. Dominik looked tougher than ever in this match, as working with a talent like Penta pushed him to dig deep, resulting in some of his best in-ring work to date. The multiple encounters the two have shared have resulted in some strong in-ring chemistry, and that familiarity paid off as they delivered their best match together at Backlash. This could be considered one of the best singles matches in the WWE careers of both men, and Mysterio looked even more assured in his abilities than ever before and kept pace with Penta. Despite what fans saw earlier, the Judgment Day came out to interfere as Carlito, JD McDonough, and Finn Balor appeared at ringside to get involved. Carlito distracted the referee while McDonough and Balor jumped the barricade to restrain Penta, but the luchador turned the tables, taking out Carlito and McDonough with a daring dive. Balor managed to avoid the dive and kept the referee's attention, which allowed El Grande Americano to deliver a headbutt to Penta with his metal-loaded mask. With Penta laid out, Mysterio hit a match-ending frog splash to seal the victory, extending what Dom has called the greatest Intercontinental title reign of all time to 21 days. This was also his second successful title defense against Penta, as the pair battled on the Raw after WrestleMania 41. It was at WrestleMania that Mysterio won the title in a match involving Penta, meaning Dom is now 3-0 in title matches against the Masked Star. While it was too soon to take the title off Mysterio, hopefully Penta will pick up the big win in their next encounter to make sure his momentum doesn't take a hit and his stock is strong. Dominik was pleased to stand tall at Backlash among his Judgment Day family, but there was another sign that a huge split may be coming with the group. When Finn Balor interfered alongside Carlito and JD McDonough, Balor took his time and paused for a few seconds before grabbing a steel chair, giving time for him to be seen by the referee. The official then ordered all three men to go backstage as Balor's slower pace accidentally caused the Judgment Day's plan to interfere to be snuffed out. Balor's delay didn't go unnoticed as both Carlito and McDonough appeared visibly frustrated with his lack of urgency, hinting at growing tension within the faction. The penultimate match of the night saw Pat McAfee step out from behind the announce desk to defend both his and Michael Cole's honor against the Ring General Gunther. This match came about due to Gunther's actions on the post-WrestleMania Raw, as frustrated over his world title loss the prior night, he bullied Cole and choked out McAfee. That earned him a brief suspension, but he was back in action at Backlash, where McAfee went for a more street clothes look than standard wrestling gear. Fans chanted "You tapped out" at Gunther early into the bout, but the dominant Austrian relished the opportunity to toy with McAfee early on. After locking up, he easily shoved the former NFL punter into the corner, and every time McAfee attempted to mount offense, Gunther effortlessly swatted him away. When McAfee tried delivering some chops, Gunther allowed a few before leveling him with one massive strike, leaving in McAfee's chest a sea of various shades of red. Even a running kick from the former Indianapolis Colts punter did little more than irritate Gunther, and it became clear quickly that this was not going to be a competitive bout. With that said, the match was well-paced and lasted longer than a squash, and McAfee did manage to string together a brief offensive flurry. Any hope Pat had was quickly dashed when Gunther kicked out at one and immediately stood up, and Gunther would quickly place himself back in the driver's seat. Watching from ringside, Cole repeatedly pleaded with Gunther to end the match as McAfee continued to endure a relentless beating, though McAfee refused to submit. Gunther pulled Cole into the ring and dared him to get involved, even teasing hitting the commentator with a powerbomb before Pat stopped that. Ultimately, after prolonging the finish, Gunther applied a sleeper hold and McAfee passed out, giving the ring general a needed victory after his loss at WrestleMania. Despite the mismatch, the match told a compelling story, leaning more into spectacle than logic, but remained entertaining throughout. While it was more competitive than necessary from a pure wrestling standpoint, it ultimately delivered as a storyline-driven segment. WWE kept trying to make it seem like Pat had a chance even when fans knew it was fruitless, and they made Gunther look dominant without making McAfee appear to be useless. Pat took an incredible beating from a known heavy hitter, and only time will tell what's next for both McAfee and the former World Heavyweight Champion. According to PW Torch, a source within WWE Creative revealed that producers were not pleased with Gunther's excessive smiling during his recent match. While the intent was to portray him as an arrogant and dominant force, the overuse of laughter reportedly diluted the desired effect. Although glimpses of arrogance were present, the constant smiling came off as unnecessary and off-tone. As a result, Backstage producers have issued a warning advising Gunther to avoid such behavior in future matches to maintain the integrity of his character. What's your take on Pat McAfee's latest match in WWE? Do you want to see him wrestle more often? Let us know what you think in the comments section. On the post-show, Byron Saxton shared that he'd spoken to Pat after the match, with McAfee saying that, "I'm good," even if Saxton didn't buy it. Saxton said that while Pat may feel good in his head and his heart, the beating he took will have left the Raw announcer worse for wear. Jackie Redmond later added that it's unclear if Pat will be on commentary for the upcoming Raw, which is set to take place in Louisville, and we'll see CM Punk make an appearance. Finn Balor will face AJ Styles, while Io Sky and Rhea Ripley will battle Roxanne Perez and Julia, and we'll have to see if McAfee's bruised body can make it to the show. And that was WWE Backlash 2025, and what did you make of the show? Share your thoughts down in the comments section.